Commander Vextar sat in the small white room on the space station. His blue skin was covered with scars from many battles. His 3 eyes looked tired and old. The young reporter from the Galactic News Network sat across from him with her recording device. "Tell me about the humans," she said. Her name was Kira, and she had never seen a real battle. Vextar made a sound like a sigh. "You want to know about the humans? Fine. But when I tell you what happened, you will understand why we fear them now." He looked at his hands. They were shaking a little. "It started 4 years ago. Our leaders found a small star system far from the center of the galaxy. Our scouts said there were primitive creatures there. They had just learned to fly between planets. We thought it would be easy." The alien commander's voice got quieter. "We were so wrong." Vextar had been a young officer. Then, he worked on the warship called the Dark Spear. It was one of 300 ships that went to the human system, the biggest invasion force in the history of the Zephyrian Empire. Our admiral was named Krexmol. He was very proud. He had conquered 12 worlds before. He told us this would take maybe 1 day. The humans had only 50 small ships. The reporter wrote notes quickly. "What happened when you arrived?" "We came out of hyperspace at the edge of their system. Our ships were spread out in perfect formation. We had done this many times before, but something was different." Vextar's 3 eyes focused on different points in the room. The humans were already there, waiting for us, not running around scared like other species do. They were just waiting. The first human voice they heard came through their communications system. It was a woman named Amy Carter. She was the admiral of something called the Earth Defense Force. Her voice was calm, Vextar remembered, like she was talking to old friends. She said, "Welcome to our system. You have 1 chance to leave peacefully. After that, we will defend our home." The Zephyrian admiral laughed. All the other commanders laughed too. 300 ships against 50? It was a joke. Admiral Krexmol opened a channel to all our ships. He said, "Look at these foolish creatures. They think they can fight us. This will be over before lunch." But Admiral Carter heard everything. The humans had somehow broken into their private communications. She spoke again, and this time her voice was different, colder. "Very well. You had your chance. All human ships. Begin Operation Thunderstorm." Vextar's hands clenched into fists. That was when we learned our first lesson about humans. They do not make empty threats. The human ships began to move, but not like any species the Zephyrians had ever seen. Instead of forming a battle line or trying to run away, they split into small groups. Some went up, some went down, some went left and right. "It looked like chaos," Vextar said. "Our tactical computers could not understand their movements. They were not following any known battle plan." Admiral Krexmol ordered the attack. The Zephyrian ships moved forward in their standard formation. They had used the same tactics for 1,000 years. It always worked. The first human ship we targeted was commanded by a man named Steve Parker. His ship was tiny compared to ours, maybe 1/10 the size. Our weapons should have destroyed it in seconds. But Steve Parker did something no alien commander had ever done before. When the Zephyrian ship fired its main cannon, Parker flew his ship directly into the beam, but instead of being destroyed, his ship absorbed the energy and redirected it back at them. His ship was designed to do that, Vextar said, his voice full of wonder and fear. They had built ships specifically to fight us. They knew we were coming. The redirected energy beam hit the Zephyrian cruiser and cut it in half. 3,000 soldiers died in seconds. Parker's ship was damaged, but he kept fighting. He sent a message to all our ships. He said, "That was for my brother. He died in your last invasion." We had never invaded their system before. We did not understand, but Admiral Carter's voice came over the communications again. "He means his brother from the Centauri colonies. You killed a lot of humans there 5 years ago. We do not forget. The Zephyrians had attacked the Centauri system years earlier. They thought they had killed all the humans there, but some had escaped and warned Earth. The humans had been preparing for this day for 5 years. The battle continued for 6 hours, Vextar said. We lost 80 ships in the first hour. The humans lost only 3. But those 3 ships took 12 of ours with them. One human pilot named Lisa Brown flew her damaged fighter directly into the engine of a Zephyrian battleship. The explosion destroyed both ships, but it also created a chain reaction that damaged 5 other Zephyrian vessels. Before she died, Brown sent a message to her fleet. She said, "To tell my daughter I kept my promise." We later learned she had promised her child she would protect Earth no matter what. Another human captain, named Rick Davis, used his ship's self-destruct system to destroy a Zephyrian command ship. But he did it in a way that saved his crew. He programmed his ship's computer to fly into the enemy vessel, while his crew escaped in pods. Davis survived and was picked up by another human ship. 20 minutes later, he was back in the battle, commanding a different vessel. The humans shared their ships like they shared their lives. By the end of the first day, the Zephyrian invasion force had lost 100 ships. They had never lost so many in a single battle. The humans had lost 20 ships, but they had made each loss count. That night, Admiral Carter sent us another message. She said, "You can still leave. We do not want to kill you all, but we will if we have to." The sadness in her voice was somehow more frightening than anger would have been. Admiral Krexmol was furious. He called for reinforcements and ordered the bombardment of the human homeworld. But the humans had one more surprise waiting. They had weapons we could not see, hidden in asteroids, on small moons, even in the rings of their gas giant planets. When we tried to attack their planet, these weapons destroyed 30 more of our ships. The reporter looked up from her notes. "How did the battle end?" Vextar's 3 eyes all focused on her. "That was just the first day. The real war lasted 3 years, and by the end we understood why every other species in the galaxy had learned to fear humans." He stood up slowly. "They do not just fight to win. They fight like every battle is the last battle their species will ever fight. And they never ever give up." The next day, more Zephyrian ships arrived. Admiral Krexmol had called for help during the night. Now they had 500 ships instead of 300. The humans still had only 30 ships left. "We thought we had them," Vextar said. 500 against 30. Even humans could not win against those odds. But the reporter could see fear in his 3 eyes. "What happened?" "The humans did something we never expected. They thanked us." Admiral Amy Carter sent a message to all the Zephyrian ships. Her voice was calm and friendly. "Thank you for bringing more ships. We were running out of targets." The Zephyrians laughed again, but this time the laughter sounded nervous. "Then the humans showed us what real war looked like," Vextar continued. "The first human attack came from inside the Zephyrian fleet. A man named Tony Martinez had hidden his small fighter inside the wreckage of a destroyed ship. When the Zephyrians came close to investigate, Martinez flew out and destroyed their command ship. Martinez had been hiding there for 12 hours, Vextar said. In the cold vacuum of space with no heat, barely any air. He waited 12 hours for the perfect moment to strike, but that was just the beginning. The humans had scattered mines throughout the asteroid field. When the Zephyrian ships tried to use the asteroids for cover, the mines exploded. 50 ships were destroyed in minutes. The mines were not normal explosives, Vextar explained. They were pieces of destroyed human ships. The humans had turned their own dead vessels into weapons. Captain Helen Rogers commanded a human ship that had lost its engines. Instead of abandoning it, she used it as a missile. She aimed it at the largest Zephyrian battleship and rode it all the way to the target. Rogers could have escaped in a pod, Vextar said, but she stayed to guide the ship manually. She wanted to make sure it hit the right spot. Her ship destroyed our biggest battleship and killed 5,000 of our soldiers. The humans used tactics that seemed impossible. They hid ships behind their own planet's moon. They used the gravity of their sun to slingshot attacks at incredible speeds. They even used their own space stations as weapons. A human named Carl Johnson was the commander of a space station, Vextar remembered. When we tried to capture it, he set it on a collision course with our fleet. The station was the size of a small city. It destroyed 12 of our ships when it exploded. But the most frightening thing was how the humans coordinated their attacks. They seemed to know what each other was thinking. We intercepted their communications, Vextar said. They were not giving detailed orders. They just said things like, remember the Alamo or for Sarah or make them pay. Somehow they all knew exactly what to do. A human pilot named Betty Lewis was fighting 3 Zephyrian fighters at once. Her ship was damaged and she was running, out of ammunition. She sent a message to her squadron. Tell my mom I love her. We thought she was going to surrender, Vextar said. Instead, she used her ship's emergency beacon to call down lightning from a nearby electrical storm. She turned herself into a lightning rod and destroyed all 4 ships, including her own. The humans also showed incredible teamwork. When Captain Dave Wilson's ship was crippled, 5 other human ships surrounded it to protect it. They shared their power, their weapons, even their crew members. Wilson's ship became a mobile fortress, Vextar explained. 6 ships working as one. They moved through our fleet like a single deadly creature. We could not stop them. The battle continued for 3 days. The Zephyrians kept sending more ships, but the humans kept destroying them. By the end of the 3rd day, the Zephyrians had lost 200 ships. The humans had lost all but 5 of their vessels. We thought we had finally won, Vextar said. 5 human ships against 300 Zephyrian ships. But then Admiral Carter sent us another message. The message was short and simple. Round 2 begins now. We did not understand what she meant, Vextar continued. Then we detected new ships entering the system, not from Earth, from everywhere else. The humans had called for help. Ships came from human colonies that the Zephyrians did not know existed. Mining ships, cargo vessels, even passenger transports. All of them had been converted into warships. A human named Frank Miller commanded a converted garbage hauler, Vextar said. He had attached weapons to a ship designed to carry trash, but he used it to destroy one of our cruisers. The converted ships were crude and ugly, but they were effective. The humans had turned every piece of technology into a weapon. Even their medical ships had been armed. Dr. Nancy White commanded a hospital ship, Vextar remembered. She saved the lives of wounded Zephyrian soldiers. Then she used her ship's surgical lasers to cut through our hull plating. She healed us and hurt us with the same tools. Second wave of human ships fought differently than the first. These were not trained soldiers. They were farmers, miners, teachers, and shopkeepers. But they fought with the same deadly determination. A human named Paul Garcia was a school teacher, Vextar said. He had never been in space combat before. But he destroyed 3 of our fighters using nothing but a cargo ship and a lot of courage. The humans also began using psychological warfare. They broadcast messages to the Zephyrian fleet, not threats or demands, but stories about their families, their homes, their reasons for fighting. One human named Karen Foster told us about her daughter, Vextar said. She was fighting so her child could grow up free. She described her daughter's laugh, her favorite toys, her dreams for the future. It was more disturbing than any battle cry. By the end of the week, the Zephyrians had lost 400 ships. The humans had lost most of their fleet too, but more ships kept arriving. Human vessels came from systems the Zephyrians had never heard of. We realized we were not fighting one planet, Vextar said. We were fighting an entire species. Every human in the galaxy was coming to defend Earth. Admiral Krexmol finally decided to retreat, but when he gave the order, he discovered that the humans had surrounded the entire Zephyrian fleet. There was no escape. Admiral Carter sent us one final message, Vextar said. She told us we could surrender and be treated fairly, or we could fight and be destroyed. The choice was ours. The reporter looked up from her notes. What did you choose? Vextar's 3 eyes closed slowly. We chose to learn why humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. We chose to keep fighting, Vextar said quietly. It was the biggest mistake of our lives. Admiral Krexmol refused to surrender. He believed the Zephyrians were still stronger. He called for even more ships. Soon, 800 Zephyrian vessels surrounded the human fleet. The humans had only 12 ships left, Vextar remembered. 12 ships against 800. We thought it was finally over. But Admiral Amy Carter had one more surprise waiting for them. She sent us a message, Vextar said. Just 3 words. Bring more friends. We did not understand what she meant. The next morning, the humans did something incredible. They stopped fighting and started talking. Not to the Zephyrians, but to each other. They shared stories about their families, their homes, their dreams. A human named Mike Thompson talked about his farm, Vextar said. He described how he grew corn and raised cattle. He said he wanted to go home and plant seeds for next year's harvest. Another human, Captain Linda Scott, talked about her daughter's birthday party. She said she had promised to bring home a special gift from space. She described the cake they would eat and the games they would play. We thought they had given up, Vexitar explained. We thought they were saying goodbye before they died. But they were doing something else. They were reminding themselves why they were fighting. Then the humans began to sing. All 12 ships, all the remaining crew members sang together. It was a song about their home planet, about blue skies and green forests. The song was beautiful, Vextar said. Even we could feel the emotion in it. But it was also terrifying. They were singing like they had already won. Admiral Krexmal ordered the final attack. 800 ships moved toward the 12 human vessels. The humans did not run. They did not try to hide. They just waited. When we got close enough to destroy them, Captain Scott sent us a message, Vextar said. She said, "Thank you for coming exactly where we wanted you." That was when the trap was revealed. The humans had been planning this moment for months. While the Zephyrians were focused on the battle, human engineers had been working in secret. They had built something in the asteroid belt around the system. It looked like a normal asteroid, Vextar explained, but it was actually a massive bomb, big enough to destroy a small moon. The human named Jerry Walsh had been hiding inside the fake asteroid for 3 weeks. He had enough food and air for 1 month. His job was to wait for the perfect moment to activate the weapon. Walsh sent a message to his wife, Vextar said. He told her he loved her and that he was proud to serve. Then he activated the bomb. The explosion was like a small star being born. It created a wave of energy that disabled every Zephyrian ship in the system. The humans had built their ships to survive the blast, but the Zephyrian ships were not protected. In one moment, 800 ships became floating pieces of metal, Vextar said. Most of our crew survived, but our weapons were destroyed. Our engines were dead. We were helpless. The 12 human ships were damaged but still working. They could have destroyed the entire Zephyrian fleet, but they did not. Instead, Admiral Carter sent rescue ships to help the Zephyrians. Human doctors and engineers worked alongside Zephyrian crew members to repair the damaged ships. A human doctor named Susan Clark saved my life, Vexitar said. I had been injured in the explosion. She worked for 6 hours to heal me. When I asked her why she was helping her enemy, she said, "Because you are not my enemy anymore. You are just someone who needs help." The humans offered to let the Zephyrians leave the system. They would repair the ships and provide food and supplies for the journey home. All they asked was that the Zephyrians promise never to attack human colonies again. Admiral Krexmal was furious, Vextar said. He felt humiliated. He refused the offer and demanded to speak with the human leader face to face. Admiral Carter agreed to meet with him. She came to the Zephyrian flagship in a small shuttle. She came alone, with no weapons, no guards, no protection. She walked into our command center like she was visiting friends, Vextar remembered. She was not afraid. She was curious. She wanted to understand why we had attacked her people. The meeting lasted for hours. Admiral Carter asked many questions. She wanted to know about Zephyrian culture, their history, their reasons for conquering other planets. She listened to everything Admiral Krexmal said, Vextar explained. She did not argue or judge. She just listened. It was the first time anyone had asked us why we fought instead of just fighting back. During the conversation, Admiral Carter revealed something shocking. The humans had known about the Zephyrians for over 10 years. They had been watching and learning. She showed us pictures, Vextar said. Pictures of Zephyrian ships, our weapons, our tactics. They had been studying us like scientists study animals. The humans had also been studying other alien species. They knew about the Graxians, the Vortex, the Klaxons. They had prepared for war with all of them. Carter told us that Earth was not just one planet, Vextar said. It was the center of a network of human colonies spread across 50 star systems. We had attacked the most powerful species in the galaxy. But the most shocking revelation was still to come. Admiral Carter told us that the humans did not want to conquer anyone, Vextar said. They wanted to explore, to learn, to make friends. But they were ready to fight if anyone threatened their families. She showed Admiral Krexmol a hologram of Earth. It was a beautiful blue and green planet with white clouds and vast oceans. She explained how humans had almost destroyed their own world with wars and pollution, but had learned to live in peace. She said that humans had learned the hard way that war only brings suffering, Vexitar said. But they had also learned that sometimes you must fight to protect what you love. Admiral Carter made an offer. The Zephyrians could return home and live in peace. The humans would help them develop new technology and trade with other species. All they had to do was stop attacking innocent worlds. Or, she said, you can continue fighting, and we will stop you. Not because we hate you, but because we cannot let you hurt others. Admiral Krexmol looked at the disabled Zephyrian fleet. He looked at the human ships that had shown mercy when they could have shown destruction. He looked at Admiral Carter, who had risked her life to make peace. He made his choice, Vextar said, the choice that changed everything. The reporter leaned forward. What did he choose? Vexitar's 3 eyes focused on her. He chose to learn what it means to be human. Admiral Krexmol chose peace, Vextar said, but first he wanted to understand what he had really been fighting. Admiral Carter smiled when she heard his decision. She asked him to come with her to see something special. She took him to one of the human ships that had survived the battle. The ship was called the Star of Hope, Vextar remembered. It looked like a warship from the outside, but inside, it was something else entirely. The ship was full of families. Human children were playing in the corridors. Elderly humans were teaching young ones about history and science. There were gardens where people grew food and flowers. Carter told us this was not a military ship, Vextar said. It was a colony ship. All the human ships were colony ships. They had been carrying families to new worlds when we attacked. Admiral Krexmol stared in shock. You mean we were fighting civilians? Not civilians, Carter corrected him. Citizens. Every human adult knows how to fight when their families are threatened. Every ship can become a warship when necessary. Every farmer can become a soldier when their children are in danger. She showed them through the ship. In one room, a human woman named Mary Johnson was teaching children about mathematics. In another room, her husband Bob Johnson was cleaning weapons and planning battle strategies. Mary and Bob were both teachers, Vextar explained. But when the war started, Bob became a fighter pilot and Mary became a tactical advisor. They fought in different ships but worked together to protect their children. The humans had not been lying when they said they did not want war. They really were peaceful people, but they had learned something important during their history on Earth. Carter showed us recordings of human history, Vextar said. Wars, disasters, invasions. Humans had faced extinction many times. They learned that the only way to keep peace is to be ready for war. Every human colony ship carried enough weapons to fight off attackers. Every human child learned basic military tactics along with reading and writing. Every human adult could become a warrior in minutes. But they only fought to protect their families, Vextar continued. They never attacked anyone first. They never conquered worlds for resources or glory. They only fought when someone threatened their loved ones. Admiral Carter took them to meet some of the human pilots who had fought in the battle. These were the people who had destroyed hundreds of Zephyrian ships and killed thousands of soldiers. I expected to meet monsters, Vextar said. Instead, I met a school teacher, a farmer, a doctor, and a grandmother. The grandmother was named Ruth Palmer. She was 70 years old and had 6 grandchildren. During the battle, she had flown a fighter ship and destroyed 3 Zephyrian cruisers. Ruth showed me pictures of her grandchildren, Vextar said. She talked about their favorite games and their dreams for the future. Then she looked at me and said, "I killed your soldiers to protect these babies. I am sorry they had to die, but I am not sorry I stopped them." The farmer was named Bill Anderson. He had been growing corn and vegetables on a distant colony when the war started. He left his farm to fight and had commanded one of the ships that destroyed Admiral Krexmol's flagship. Bill told me about his crops, Vextar said, how he loved watching things grow, how he enjoyed feeding people and making them happy. But he also told me that he would burn every field in the galaxy if it meant protecting one human child. The doctor was named Alice Chen. She had saved the lives of wounded humans during the battle, but she had also designed some of the weapons that the humans used against the Zephyrians. Alice explained that her job was to heal people, Vextar said. But sometimes the only way to heal someone is to stop the person who is hurting them. She made weapons because it was the only way to make peace. Admiral Carter then showed them the most shocking thing of all. She took them to a room full of computers and holographic displays. The room contained information about every alien species in the galaxy. The humans had been watching everyone, Vextar said. Not to conquer them, but to understand them. They knew about every war, every conflict, every species that might threaten peaceful worlds. The humans had been preparing for war with the Zephyrians for 8 years. They knew when the attack would come, where it would come from, and exactly how to stop it. But they also had plans to help the Zephyrians. Vextar continued. Plans for trade, for technology sharing, for peaceful cooperation. They had prepared for war, but they hoped for peace. Carter showed Admiral Krexmol a file with his own name on it. The humans knew everything about him, his family, his history, his victories and defeats. They knew he was a good soldier who truly believed he was fighting for his people. Carter told him that humans respected good soldiers, even enemy soldiers, Vextar said. She said that Admiral Krexmol had fought bravely for what he believed was right. Now she wanted to show him a better way to protect his people. The humans offered to share their technology with the Zephyrians. Medical advances that could extend Zephyrian lives. Agricultural techniques that could feed their growing population. Energy systems that could power their worlds without destroying them. All they asked in return was peace, Vextar said. No more attacks on innocent worlds. No more conquering of peaceful species. The Zephyrians could have everything they needed without hurting anyone. Admiral Krexmol was silent for a long time. He looked at the human families, the peaceful farmers, who had become deadly warriors, the children who sang songs about distant stars. Finally, he asked Carter a question, Vexitar said. He asked her what would happen if the Zephyrians refused the offer and kept fighting. Carter's answer was simple and terrifying. She told him that humans had prepared for that possibility too, Vextar said. She showed him star charts of human colonies spread across the galaxy. Hundreds of worlds, thousands of ships, millions of people, all of them ready to fight if necessary. But more importantly, Carter continued, we have allies now, species, that we have helped, that we have protected, that we have saved from other conquerors. If you attack us again, you will not just be fighting humans. You will be fighting everyone who believes in peace. The Zephyrian admiral realized that his species had a choice. They could join the growing alliance of peaceful worlds, or they could face the combined might of every species that humans had befriended. Admiral Krexmol made his decision, Vextar said. He chose to become humanity's ally instead of their enemy. The reporter finished writing her notes. And that is how the war ended? That is how the peace began, Vextar corrected her. The war ended when we realized we were fighting the wrong enemy. We thought humans were conquerors like us, but they were protectors. They fought to keep peace, not to break it. Vextar stood up slowly. His old wounds ached, but his 3 eyes were bright with hope. I have been working with humans for 3 years now, he said. I have seen them laugh and cry, succeed and fail, love and grieve. They are not perfect, but they are good. And they taught us something important. What is that? The reporter asked. That the strongest warriors are not those who win the most battles, Vextar said. The strongest warriors are those who win the peace that follows. He walked toward the door, then stopped and looked back. If you publish this story, make sure you include one warning, he said. Humans will always give you a choice. They will always try to find a peaceful solution. But if you threaten their families, if you hurt innocent people, if you choose war over peace, they will stop you. And they are very, very good at stopping people. The old alien warrior left the room, leaving behind the story of how a species learned that true strength comes not from conquest but from protection, not from fear, but from love. And somewhere in the galaxy, human children were still singing songs about distant stars, safe in the knowledge that their parents would do anything to protect them.